One day, they're handing out bottled water in the aftermath of a hurricane. The next, they're holding a frontline position in a foreign combat zone. To a casual observer, the National Guard looks like any other branch of the American military. But beneath the uniform, the operational structure is entirely unique. Guardsmen are the only American troops with a split chain of command. When they put on their boots, they pledge loyalty to two different bosses at the exact same time: the governor of their state and the President of the United States. For over a century, this dual loyalty was a quiet administrative compromise. Recently, that compromise has fractured, sparking a struggle over who actually gets to deploy military personnel on American streets. The National Guard now operates as an active legal battleground, where the reach of a governor's authority and the scope of a president's power are being redefined in real time. This structure traces back to the Militia Act of 1903. It was a constitutional compromise. The federal government secured a reliable backup army for global conflicts, while individual states kept control of their local militias. To navigate this compromise, the Guard uses three legal statuses. The first is state active duty. In this mode, the governor is in total command and the state pays the bill, typically for disaster relief or local emergencies. Then there is Title 32. This is a hybrid. The governor remains in charge of the troops, but the federal government provides the funding, usually for joint training or border security support. Finally, there is Title 10. This is the most extreme status. The president federalizes the troops, overrides the governor, and converts the Guard into an active duty component of the U.S. Army or Air Force. Presidents have used this authority to bypass defiant state leaders before. During the school desegregation crisis of 1957, President Dwight D. Eisenhower realized he couldn't rely on local authorities to enforce federal law. He federalized the Arkansas Guard, stripping the governor of his command and ordering those same soldiers to protect and escort 9 black students into Little Rock Central High School. This 3-tier system was designed to let the Guard pivot between local needs and foreign wars. But when these exact same troops are deployed for domestic law enforcement, the entire system hits a significant legal tripwire. That tripwire is the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. It establishes a clear rule for the homeland. The federal military cannot be used as a domestic police force. Under state command, guardsmen can act as police, but once federalized under Title 10, they are barred from civilian law enforcement. A president can only bypass this barrier by invoking the Insurrection Act, allowing federal troops to enforce domestic laws. This means the legality of a soldier's actions depends entirely on which hat they are wearing. It turns every domestic deployment order into a constitutional litmus test. Nowhere is this test more constant than in Washington, D.C., the only jurisdiction in the system without a governor. Because D.C. is a federal district, its Guard units are always under the command of the president. This gives the White House direct control over local troop movements that no governor could exercise in their own state. In recent years, administrations have attempted to extend this model, using Title 10 to move troops into states like Illinois and Oregon against the wishes of local leaders, citing the need to protect federal property. We are also seeing new, legally contested tactics, like attempting to use Title 32 funding to move one state's Guard into a different state, without securing permission from both governors. These jurisdictional fights are having serious, real-world consequences. In militarized border disputes, state-level Guard deployments are now being used to directly challenge the federal government's authority over immigration. These scenarios aren't just administrative disagreements. They are the calculated use of the National Guard's complex legal code to secure political and jurisdictional leverage. When state and federal forces occupy the same ground with opposing orders, like in Eagle Pass, where state troops physically blocked federal agents from the river, the primary mission of public safety is sidelined by the fight over who is in charge. The Guard's history of natural disaster relief is being increasingly eclipsed by the optics of their deployment as political leverage, with soldiers positioned as physical barriers between competing government ideologies. This tension reflects the Founding Fathers' original fear, the danger of a centralized military being turned against American citizens on domestic soil. The National Guard was created to balance that power. It is the physical embodiment of American federalism, but as our politics polarize, the Guard is being pulled in two directions at once: leaving the citizen soldier caught between the laws of their state and the demands of their commander-in-chief.